All right, joining us on the program now is EKU women's head basketball coach Greg Todd. Coach, it's always a pleasure to have you on. How you doing?
Doing great, Vince. Thanks. Been in the middle of the transfer portal. It's all good. Can't complain.
Yeah, I tell you, every coach I talk to, the transfer portal is one of those things, right? It's good in some ways, it's a pain in some ways, but you got to do it or else you sink, right?
Hey, if we love what we do, we got to love the transfer portal. So yeah, I embrace it. It's a different day every day, and it's a different type of recruiting that is new, but certainly feel like so far we're doing okay in the portal. So it's a positive thing. We're still got more work to do, but it's going in a positive way.
Well, 2 years into your EKU stint, um, I know that you still have things you want to accomplish. I know there's still goals to reach and all that kind of stuff. How happy are you with the progress of the program with where you sit today?
I think it's a great question, and certainly I'm pleased that we're definitely moving in a positive direction. We were pleased with the first year, getting hired in 2 years ago in May, and being able to have a 15-win season. And I felt like this year we made strides. I felt like we were a bigger threat in the conference. The ASUN has been at an all-time high in terms of the quality of teams, and for us to win 18 games with a tough schedule overall, most wins in nearly a decade. So that was good. We had a couple games that we'd like to play over again, but I think most coaches and teams would say that. But I thought to establish a winning season, and the nice thing about this team is we felt like we had a good core of players returning. We knew after the first year that we lost a good part of our team, and then when Bree Crittenden ACL'd in June, that was a tough blow for us, a starter who's a freshman starter. So things look better in terms of who we return for this coming year, and obviously. We've been off to a pretty good start in the transfer portal, and feel very optimistic moving forward. There will be some changes in the league with Liberty going to Conference USA and Jacksonville State. Those are two strong teams, and Kennesaw will have one more year in our league. It'll be divisional play next year, and certainly Lipscomb had a great year this year. They returned their whole starting five. Austin P had a good team. They're going to have to reload. They lost a lot of players, but I'm sure Coach Young will get them rolling. Should be a good division for sure on our side, and then on the east side. Obviously, Florida Gulf Coast has probably been the most dominant basketball team in any conference over the last 15, 16 years, or definitely one of the top two or three in men's or women's.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now you've lost this year. There's a fair amount of movement on the roster, but you do return your core group of players. Most of your minute and scorers and all those kinds of people. You did lose a couple contributors and things as well. But you look at the returning people, of course, you've got Alice, who's coming into her third year, Bridget and Bree, who will be back from the injury as well. And then returning Marissa and Antoinette for their senior seasons too. The amount of firepower you're returning is, it's incredible. And I was excited to hear it because Antoinette came in and had this phenomenal year, newcomer of the year in the conference, and leading scorer, all these things, and you never know what's going to happen after a year like that.
No, you don't. In today's game, you she had a great year, but certainly with the accolades she had, it would have been easy as a grad transfer to find another place. But she loved Richmond, loved Eastern Kentucky. I'd recruited her pretty hard. I quit going to Chicago. I went so much to see her when I was at Morehead State. I said, I don't know. It was a player that we were hoping to get there, and things have a funny way of working out. But what an amazing season she had, and for her to return, I mean, she could have gone overseas, played professionally, but she wanted to do more, bring more, and I think you'll see even a better version of Antoinette this year. And as you mentioned, Marissa Mackins missed part of the first part of the year. I think she learned some things. I think she's working harder in the off season to be even better this year. She's got a great IQ, certainly a big time player for us. And then Alice Rechignati, you can't say enough about her. She's still got another year after this year. Just a great competitor, hard nosed. That's a great threesome to have to come back. And then as I mentioned before, with Bree Crittenden, you're looking at a player who would have probably been a starter if you start as a freshman. Even though we did have some transfers, she would have had a chance to be a major player for us. And I've had, being a head coach over 30 years, I've seen, unfortunately, a few ACLs, and most all of them come back better. And the surgeons do an awesome job. The trainers do a great job. And then the players, it takes a little time to get that confidence. But the one thing about all of players that I've ever had with ACLs, they come back as better shooters. And I think Bree is worked tremendously on her shot. So we're excited about her. And then Bridget Fox was a role player that gave us some very quality minutes. We were a little short in that position in the 5 spot. So we're definitely excited about those players returning. And then we'd signed a couple freshmen in November that had very solid years as well.
Yeah, you got 2 freshmen signed, Sanaya Shelton from Bowling Green and Kalani Lindsay from Florida, from high school in Florida, not University of Florida. But you bring both these girls in, and I'm told, you got to think through when you were brought in May, you said for your first year, that was kind of after the recruiting stage of it all. So this is your first true freshman class of kids coming through.
It is, and I think Sanai gives us a long, athletic point guard who is a great passer. Defensively, will add to our team. She's been on a winning program at Bowling Green. She's played in 2 or 3 state tournaments, and she's a player that's used to good competition. And then Kalani is a player that had I followed her quite a bit at all of her events last summer. She had several offers. She's got quite a family of success. I think her mom started basketball at Central Florida. Her sister was a starter at West Virginia. Her dad played at Georgia Southern football, played at Roy Kidd Stadium against Roy Kidd back in the day. So quite a family, and she certainly has got a lot of athleticism, good size. I think can make a difference this first year coming in. She moved from Florida to Houston, but had a great year this year.
And then you got your transfer portal class that's coming through, and it's not done yet. But the ones that have signed so far that we're allowed to talk about. So Rafaela Toussaint, post player, about 6 foot, I think, from Ryder. You got to see her this past season when you were in Ireland as well. Did you know of her before then, or is that where you kind of saw her?
That's where I really got to see. She likes to be called Rappy, and Rappy had a great year. She's played 3 years at Ryder. She's from Canada. I think our fans will really like her. I think she's got her best basketball ahead of her. She will. She may end up guarding some posts, but I think offensively she'll be more of a wing. She had a down year for her shooting threes this year, but if you look at her freshman sophomore year, she's a good 3-point shooter. I think she can be definitely a player that can shoot the 3. I think she'll be able to get to the rim, draw fouls. and I think she'll be able to play out on the perimeter. And if she gets a good matchup against a smaller player, she can post up. And then defensively, she'll be able to guard 1 through 5. And just a great young lady. Very excited about her coming in, and gives us, biggest thing we lost with three of our players, the 2 seniors, being Danielle Rainey and Emma Hacker, was a lot of length. And then Ari Kirkwood is leaving, so we lost some wing length. So to get Rappy in will definitely help.
Definitely. And then Nakia Thompson, combo guard out of Jacksonville State. So you've seen her recently as well. And what do you like about her and the addition she's going to bring?
I was so enthusiastic about her. I've coached against her several times, even when I was at Morehead State. I love the player. She's a player, makes everybody better. She can do all facets of the game. She had an injury this year. She had a concussion early. I don't think she ever really got herself back on track this year. But if you look back at her junior year, they were a 20-plus win team. She was, in my opinion, one of the best players on that team. She's a great passer, a good shooter. And Coach Petrie, talked to him last week, and he had mentioned his teams are tremendous defensively. He recruits defensive players first, and he said she may have been the best on-ball defender that he has ever coached. So, a lot of praise for her. I think she will be a great addition to our squad as well.
That's exciting to hear. And then the one that's being announced, so our episode drops Friday. We're recording this Thursday night, but I'm told we're allowed to talk about it. So
sure.
Sierra McCollum, Tennessee State transfer, and she's going to bring something exciting to the team as well.
Yes, I think we lacked, outside of Bridget Fox, we had a hard time with the physicality and size, and not only having Kalani this year, I think Sierra's started her career at Charlotte. She was a good player for Tennessee State in terms of the physicality that she brought every night, and she, I think, can bring that to us. And she's she's over 6 feet tall, listed 6'2", and gives us more height and she loves to be inside. Her physical nature is to be a 5 player, and so I think she will make a difference also.
So as it sits right now, you got 10 players on the roster for next season. Don't mention any names, that'll get you in trouble. But are you going to fill the rest of the roster with transfers, or are you still looking in the high school ranks some too?
There's looking at different spots. Obviously, I think we're still looking for another wing that can make shots. We feel like we can be a good shooting team. So we're looking for a wing with some decent length, and we're on some of those as well. There's, we've talked to another post player. We'll see kind of where she is, and I've never been real big. I know we get 15 scholarships, save the budget a little bit of money there, and I feel like 15 is usually too much, but you get to usually 13 is kind of the lucky number for me, instead of unlucky is 13. But if you get to 13 and somebody breaks open late, that's just a huge difference maker. You always have got those scholarships available, and I just think it gives you more time to spend with the players you have, and we try to make a real good look at getting people in that we feel like can help us. And you never know with the injury bug and that type of thing, but 13 is usually the number that we will look for. So there's definitely three more spots. I will say, just looking at this team, outside of knowing that we've got Rappy and Antoinette who can fill it up from all over the court, I feel like in my 30 years, I've never had 3 players that pass the basketball like the three that we have, and that being Nakaya's unbelievable passer. She's been 2-to-1. I think she can be with a high scoring team, even a 2.5 to 3-to-1 assist to turnover. Liche Rechignati is one of your best passers in the ASUN. No question. Just look at her numbers. And then Marissa Mackins had a few turnovers late in the year, but she was over 2-to-1 most of the year. I think it kind of got down to about 2-to-1. That's pretty good to have three. At times, we may have all three of those out on the court, and it'd certainly be fun if you're one of the other fourth or fifth player with those three. They're going to find you, and so that's very exciting about what we have to look forward to next season.
Now with Antoinette, when I talked to her last year during the season, I was intrigued because she has such a great scoring numbers, but they pretty much all come inside the 3-point line.
Right.
So do you expect her to broaden her horizons a little bit and shoot more from three, or do you like what she does and just keep doing it?
It's hard. It's hard to take away her strength, and I think her strength is long twos. I know basketball, the analytics tells you that is not a good shot, and for most players, it's not. But for Antoinette, it is. She's got an uncanny ability to make the long twos, and very, very consistent. Only had 1 or 2 poor games really out of 30 plus games is amazing consistency. So we're not trying to take away the long twos. We are looking to add a little more of the threes. She did sort of at the end of the year start looking a little bit more at threes. I think she's worked very hard on that. I think the biggest thing, she's going to get a lot of attention and continue to work on her passing. We're hoping to get her assist to turnover ratio close to even. We know it's hard to do that when teams sometimes send 2 or 3 people at you, but we feel like we have enough around her as we work toward that. We want to get her passing better, and defensively, I think we'll be a little deeper team. We had to get so much out of her offensively last season. She didn't have her best season defensively, but we feel like we'll be able to give her a break, hopefully with the roster we have here and there, and also focus on her defensively being more of a solid defender. So, but she's a dream to coach, and quite a hard worker, and makes life easy for us coaches with what she does, and a good leader, and we're definitely thrilled that she's coming back.
Now, I love what you said about that, not taking away her strengths, because you're right. And I listen to a million coaches podcasts and things like that, and try to take in as much information as I can. And there are guys who'll say 0 mid-range shots whatsoever, none whatsoever. You got to do layups or threes, whatever it is. How many years did it take you to adopt that philosophy of say, hey, if it's their strength, I'm going to let them do it?
I've always been, you aspire in the women's game, if you can get close to 1 point per possession, that's winning basketball. And the 3-point shot has definitely done that for a lot of players. It's not as consistent, and you can have some games as you watch the Warriors play, as some of those guys get a little older. It's amazing when you're making threes. And last year when we were making threes, we were a tough team to beat as well. So we love the three. And obviously, if you can get into the rack zone, you draw fouls. But a player like Walker, to me, is very valuable because teams don't know how to defend, I think, long twos. Yeah. I had a player at Morehead State who nearly had 2,000 points, Miranda Crockett, and she couldn't shoot a three. It was not even in her arsenal. But when you're hitting 50% of those shots, and you have to chart them and know that is still winning basketball. You may not draw as many fouls, but 50%, and it does bring the defense out on you. And now, especially if she's got a bigger player, she can get by them and get to the rack zone, draw fouls, and score. So it's not it's not the norm of most players today, but certainly I think as a coaching staff, you watch and see what they like to do, and certainly in the same way. Sometimes the freedom. I mean, we like to, as coaches, allow our players to have freedom, but if you're not making 3-point shots throughout the season and you're giving your team a lift in other areas, you probably need to cut. And as a head coach for a long time, you have to have that discussion sometimes with some of your players that, hey, I know you love the three, not that we're going to totally get it out of your system, but you're going to play more if you're doing the other things. So I think it's a lot based on playing to your strengths. Makes your teams strong. I mean, because you would think at this level you've got players that can play to their strengths, and certainly I think with Mari, that's we never say a word to her on a 15-foot long two that you might say something to another player that's not what they need to do.
Yeah, I love that. And it's every single player I've had on, and over the last 2 years, it's been 6 or 7 players from your team, and they've all said the same thing, that you guys give them the freedom to do what they do best. And I think that's what the last year when I talked with Antoinette and talked with Mac as well, that was one of the big points of them coming here was, hey, we knew that if we came here, they were going to let us play to our strengths and give us the freedom. They use that word freedom, the freedom to do so. And that's, I think that's a huge selling point for your program. You talked about your staff there, and we've had several of your staff on. Abby Owens is gone. She goes to Cincinnati. So now we can share how much you greatly disliked Abby. No, I'm just kidding. I know Abby was a friend, and it was an important part of your staff too. And we congratulate her. Hope that she does well in Cincinnati. So how soon do you fill that void on your staff?
I think we're pretty aggressive right now. I've talked to a couple people. I think we should have a replacement probably within a week or two. I don't think it'll be long drawn out. So it's nice when you're winning, and I think we're attractive. Just a lot of things our university is doing is great. So we're excited about getting another person in with new energy, and but obviously Abby was a tremendous asset to our program, a great recruiter, hard worker. Girls really respected her, and but there's now the rule with 2 more coaches being able to go on the floor, you're going to see more and more Power 5 programs in men's and women's where their budget is such that they can go spend a lot of money on that 4th and 5th coach. So it does open up a lot of openings for assistant coaches, and I think that's a good thing. But at our level, we are going to lose some coaches because Abby will not be able to recruit, but still being in a program that's heading in I think it'll be heading in a good direction. She's connected with that staff at University of Cincinnati, and we're really happy for her, even though obviously will be dearly missed.
Yeah. Do you? She's younger, and so do you view that as a success for you that you had someone come on your staff that was able to move up, so to say, at least. That sounds bad to say it that way, but to get that opportunity at Cincinnati in a school like that as well. I would assume as a head coach, that's part of what you're doing too, especially for your young assistants, is giving them the opportunity to grow as well.
Right. No, it's big. And, at Eastern Kentucky, we do a good job of trying to retain our assistant coaches. I think, we have a pretty competitive salary base that they get. They're treated well. We've got a lot of great things in place, but when you start getting in competition with Power 5 schools, they're hard to beat. But I am proud of a lot of players that I've had over the years that have moved up in the ranks as assistant coaches, and I feel like we've got a very good staff now, and I think our replacement will be strong as well. So looking forward to getting that staff completed here very soon.
Yeah, and it's exciting. Of course, you still have 2 returning coaches plus your other staff too that's there as well. Of course, returning from last year as well. So that's always great. Coach, I've kept you a while. I appreciate it.
I love it. We talk all night, Vince. It's good.
Well, hey, let me ask you this. Let's see if we can get some breaking news. Jerseys. You guys are switching to Nike. I talked with Michael Moreno on the guys' side several weeks back on it. Have you seen the new jerseys, what they look like? You know what? I'm assuming you know what they look like.
I've looked at them. I'm not as big of a gear person as the players. It's awesome for our girls. And basketball players love the swoosh, love Nike. And I certainly, you want anything that can help recruiting and make them happy. I'm very, very happy for that. And, I know our president has been a big part of that. And we feel very blessed to move into Nike. So for basketball, and talking to AW, it does make a difference, certainly. And we're excited about it, but it's still, we're the July 1 before we can start actually putting it on. But I have seen some of the jerseys, just, we don't have them yet in hand, but just on the computer. But I think some of our designs will be cool, and certainly our recruits and our team they're all very excited about that.
It's funny how they really do get that excited about.
Absolutely, yeah. My assistant coaches, I can tell you. Coretta Brown is a former WNBA player. She loves the swoosh. I probably wore it at North Carolina with Michael Jordan's gear, and of course Abby Owens, who left us, she was huge on this. So we're definitely thrilled to get it.
And then you got a revamped arena as well coming in the progress and things like that. So there's a lot of upgrades for not just the basketball program, but for the basketball program coming into the new year. And I know that as a coach, I'm sure you appreciate knowing the investment they're putting in and helping you guys out.
Oh, it's amazing that, and nothing against Morehead State, but to see what we're able to do, and Morehead State was good to me, but it's night and day what we do in comparison, and I think it's showing up, and I think with our leadership that we have, our programs will continue. We've had a good year this year, and I think it's just going to get better and better in the next couple years. You're going to see more great things at Eastern Kentucky. So I'm just very excited to be part of that. But this gym renovation is almost unreal. What that will do for us, for the whole community, to have a facility like this is going to be. I know we got a little work to do before we get there, but it's just going to be awesome. I think it'll be great for the regional tournament. Who knows? The girls' state tournament used to be pretty big. I don't know if Rupp Arena is as good a place. You'd have to ask the coaches who are there. I always enjoyed when I was a high school coach playing at Diddle Arena in Western and at Eastern Kentucky. Got to play both of those venues, and the crowds were very, very good, and it was some great games. So yeah, I don't, down the road, who knows what that will bring, some concerts, and very, very exciting times to just see the layout just for basketball and volleyball is going to be amazing.
It's going to be a lot of fun to see it all get done. Coach, year 3 is now in progress. So you guys are rolling right along. Excited to continue to see how the roster fills out. Excited to see who comes on staff and things like that as well. Coach, it's always a pleasure chatting with you, and I truly appreciate the time you take for my program. And so thanks so much for coming on again.
Thank you, Vince. Appreciate all you do, and you've been a big help to our athletic program. Appreciate all you're doing. So,
Thank you.
thanks.